What's up, street dogs? Street gods. ASMR blogs. Okay, some thoughts. So, got something to me to break the chain. I'm the true and living. Rest of you is vain. Okay, so some thoughts. So, real or fake? Okay. Lots of interesting ideas here. All right. So, first and foremost, ChatGPTs is the future. I think it's actually funny because when before Son was born, we played around with some names, and Future was actually one of them because he was a COVID baby. It's crazy. He was born in Providence, Rhode Island. And this is before we had a vaccine, right? I almost wasn't able to make it to the birth, but fortunately because we're in Providence, Rhode Island, and they're amazing, I was able to go into the thing, and then even during the Rona, it's like some women were expected to labor with a face mask on. I'm like, nah, get out of here. So fortunately, they were pretty laissez-faire about that. She did not labor for 3 days with a face mask on, thank God. Same with me. I don't know, I think I think what people are trying to do in life is trying to maximize their novelty factor or happiness in life or whatevs. But my general thought is perhaps the first secret to happiness, or just life, is I like the idea that you want to maximize interesting life experiences. For example, this is not imperative, but my suggestion. Good morning. What you guys making?
This place.
Do you know what you should do?
What?
Do you know what you should do?
What?
You should, my wife has a funny idea. You take all the guys who go to CrossFit in the gym and say, hey, do you guys want a free workout?
Oh.
Get here and get them to do all the construction work for you.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you charge them money to work out in construction.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Good idea, right?
Yeah.
All right, have a good one. Not imperative, but my suggestion is, I think everybody should have at least one kid. Just replace yourself, ideally. What's the rule? I have 2.2 kids. My thought is 2 kids, 2.2, 3 kids, whatevs. I think, the reason why I like the idea of 2 kids is, we have 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, 2 eyes. Having 2 kids seems like a good idea, like the gold standard. Unless you've never actually had to go through the laboring process. A lot of women nowadays have the scheduled C-sections or get C-sections. What's very interesting about the laboring process, which nobody ever talk about, especially if your wife ain't or spouse ain't on drugs. Yeah, the process is pretty tough. Pro tip for going through the laboring process for the first time, it's and then the actual witnessing the birth of your child, you get tears. It's like the most beautiful thing in the world. Yeah, and actually even though I thought I had too, I'm like, mean, ultimately it comes down to the women, right? It's like, shouldn't force women to have kids if she don't want to. Like, yeah, like a woman should not be coerced into having more than one kid if she don't want to. I mean, I'm lucky too because I don't know. I think the truth of the matter is every man desires at least one male heir. So if your first kid is a boy, it's all upside from there. No downsides. Ideally, have more than one kids. So typically, whenever you see families with like 2 girls, 3 girls, 4 girls, 5 girls, it's a sign that they're trying to have a boy. But what I actually find very interesting is if the first son or the first kid is a boy, and then the couple decides to have another kid, it's actually really a sign that they just love having kids and they want to have more kids. Anyways, yeah, like everyone in modern day society wants to be happy. Honestly, having a kid will. What's interesting is, at least in the early days, your pain threshold will increase by 1000x, but your happiness quotient will increase by 10,000x. So if you just do the maths, it kind of makes sense. So anyways, real versus fake peoples, right? So one rapper that I've always kind of been like suspicious about is Drake. It's like Drizzy, why are you trying to act so hard, right? It's like, to my understanding, I think he grew up to like a nice, middle class family. I think Drake's mom is. I mean, she sounds like a lovely person. No ill wills. I think she's Jewish. I think even Drake had a bar mitzvah and stuff like that. And it's actually funny too, cause like in culture, Drake dropping the N-bomb, right? He's half African American. His mom is Caucasian. I don't like using the word white because you don't call Asian people yellow. You don't call like Native American peoples red. We probably shouldn't call people black and white. It's kind of a little bit so. And also, what's interesting too, it's like if you're Cape Verde, it's like a lot of in Providence, Rhode Island, people from Cape Verde, small little island. They speak Portuguese, and they're self-owned. Like they came to America as willing immigrants, just like South Koreans, in search for greater opportunities. Do not come as slaves, right? And so when like Americans are like, oh, are you black? Cape Verdeans are like, no, we're from Cape Verde, like we're Cape Verdean, right? And they're like, you African American? We're not really from Africa because we're, we've been in Cape Verde for a while, which I forget, it's like an island off of Africa. And even one thing I learned from Cindy, right? The notion of Africa as a nation is kind of, imprecise. Even, China or Asia or East Asia, right? Like, everyone is so different. That's also the problem too. Is like I have a funny story. I was actually in Paris, like a decade ago with Cindy. We're just having a nice meal with her moms and stuff like that. And actually, what happens afterwards is, the waiter, French guy, right? Cool dude, and looks like African American descent, whatevs. We're just having friendly conversations. Oh, what country you from? Where you? He's like, oh, it's like Chinese. Oh no, Korean, Vietnamese. It's like, oh, Korean, Chinese. ... Same thing? ? And I was like, French ... Spanish ... Same thing? And he's like, and he gave me the hat. I'm like, one of the wittiest things I've said. Oh, actually, my friend Jeremy told me something hilarious. So he has probably the sickest Nissan 300 ZX in white. His license plate says for ire. He says it apparently pops up in Reddit every once in a while, but next time you see somebody in a Lambo or a Ferrari or some sort of hypercar, right? And you see a random person parked next to them, right? Just rush on over to the car, like pretending like you're gonna be like, oh, cool Lambo or cool Ferrari, how'd you get whatever, right? And then run towards the direction and then immediately go to the car next to us. Wow, is that an original Civic Type R? That's so sick. This is like pretty funny. So I don't know, I think the world needs a little more humor. But anyways, yeah, so Drizzy, yo, why is he so fake? He's like talking about killers and guns. I'm like, started further button out here, talking to one of my friends, Julio. It's like, bro, you're so fake, like, yeah, I think, I mean, it's okay. Like, you grew up to a nice, loving family. I mean, shout out to anyone who was raised with a single mom. I guess maybe was Drake raised by a single mom, not sure, right? But I think Drake went to private school. He was on the Degrassi TV show on Nickelodeon. I don't know, did his mom drive a BMW SUV? Not sure, right? So, yeah, I think anybody who went to private school is like, bro, you can't talk about like killers and guns or like even Jay-Z is like, please don't rap about guns that you ain't gonna use. I'm so confused, right? So who's the real ones, right? Surprisingly, somebody who people don't talk about no more is 50 Cent. I mean, this guy, he had a song, this is where ChatGPT is lit. He had a song called The Ghetto Quran where he straight up like naming out like these drug dealers who were killers, right? And he apparently, as a consequence, attempted suicide. He got shot 9 times in both legs, in his arm, his cheek, right? It was definitely a killing attempt. He done survived it, right? So 50 Cent's the legit, right? Shot 9 times, 2000, right? Who else the real one? Jay-Z grew up in the projects, right? Kanye is an interesting case because, I mean, he was raised in, more also once again, more or less like single kid. I think Kanye was kind of more of like a nerd, right? Mom was a professor. I think his dad was a Black Panther or something, kind of absentee dad, right? Kind of a social justice kind of guy, right? Not really in the picture. So yeah, Kanye grew up, working at the Gap, into fashion ever since he was a young kid. Like, even apparently in the early days, he wanted to, do X, Y, and Z, right? I mean, even Eminem, right? Shout out to him. He really did grow up in the difficulties in Detroit. So that's where he gets his clout. Yeah, so I think that's where the intelligence of studying people's personal history and background is critical, because you can only really talk about your own experiences and your own worldviews. Similarly speaking, to look at somebody's body is quite critical. Like, there's a saying in Latin, also shout out to ChatGPTs, but in men's something corpo sane or something, right? So essentially it means if you have a healthy, sane body, you're also going to have a healthy, sane mind. And so my thought is, if you have a beautiful body, you're finna have a beautiful mind. If you have a not pretty body, you ain't gonna have a pretty mind as well, right? And so let's even do a thought experiment, right? Would you trust, typical skinny fat academic male loser guy who's never lifted a weight in his life, philosophizing, writing, and opining on masculinity and blah blah blah, whatevs, right? It's like, no, it's like have you ever deadlifted in your life? Even Nassim Taleb has a heuristic, is like trust no philosopher who don't deadlift, right? More or less. And also on the EK front, right? Don't trust nobody who's never done over 7 plates, 8 plates, 9 plates, 10 plates. And something that will be historical fact for the rest of the times, Kim 1,000-pound Atlas lift. I mean, I could probably do more, I'm pretty certain, but as of now, I mean, I might get back on it later, but yeah, as of now, I'm kind of more interested or curious about innovating new approaches. my off-the-grid workouts, just working on my parking spot, thinking about posture, farmers, carries, etc. Actually, this is another interesting thought. So there's a website called Titan.fitness. Essentially, they take all the designs from RogueFitness.com and just make it super cheap. Ooh. It's like, I haven't seen this one before. That's kind of cool. It's like, interesting. Kind of reflective. How much is it? Mid-range, 33,000. Like the reflective yellow. What's that? Tints? I don't know what that is, right? Another super effect on life, right? You know if a car is good or not, if it's traded in or not. It's like if you done traded in the car for a Honda, it's like probably not a good one. Yeah, like look at this little loser Mercedes SUV, right? And also the simple heuristic too. Don't trust nobody who drives a SUV because it's a sign that they have low self-esteem. The more robust thing is, especially if you're a family man, you got kids, whatever, right? Just buy a minivan, like just matte black Honda Odyssey is the one, right? And actually the funny thing I've discovered too, right? So there's people, the way people talk, and then there's words that actually people do, right? It's called true preferences or revealed preferences. The generalized idea is don't act or look at what people apparently say. Look at what they actually do. So even Elon Musk right now, right? He sold all his mansions. He's just straight up like living in like what looks like a simple 2-bedroom apartment somewhere in Texas, Austin, right? Look at all these losers trading in their Range Rovers, right? Not a good car. How cheap is this? Yeah, still so expensive. Yeah, it's like, why would you trade in a brand new Range? Probably a sign that it's not a good car. And let's not forget too, right? Range Rover is owned by the Tata Group, Indian company, right? They also make some like random Tata Corporation, right? And even Lamborghini, right? I mean, like, I think the design is still super cool, but ultimately it's better to transform your body into a Lambo than to drive one. And also, like, simple heuristic: do not buy the Huracan or the Urus. The Urus is just like an Audi Q8 with a body kit, and let's not forget the Audi is essentially a expensive Volkswagen. And also, people don't know, you should know, a Porsche is also joined by the Volkswagen groups. So essentially you have a 911, it's like you essentially have a Volkswagen Beetle on steroids with a good turbocharger, or inline or whatever, right? I don't know, I still think about it a lot, right? Yeah, probably like if you were like uber rich, the best car to have would, especially in SoCal, would probably be like a white Toyota Prius Prime. White because easy to keep clean. Like honestly, even being here in LA, right? Keeping your car clean is a full-time job. It's like, hey, I don't got time for this, right? High vis white is well, actually the best luxury car to have. You want a good luxury car, get the Genesis G90. That car is lit AF. I call it the Mercedes Rolls-Royce killer. And also, let's not forget, Rolls-Royce is also owned by BMW. It's been owned by like almost a decade. Therefore, as a consequence, you drive and just look at it, right? Like, look at the new Range Rover Cullinan. It essentially looks like a BMW X7. Even the X7 looks like a Range, right? And best way to think about the Rolls is it's just like a really nice BMW 7 Series, I guess. So just buy the 7 Series, not the Rolls. Actually, even apparently, and this is where it's good to talk to like security guards in real life, other human beings. Apparently, this one guy, it's on security guard. He does private security for like some of the richest people on the planet. He said he knows this one guy in LA. He has more money than God. And he's like, yeah, it's super nice, just dressed for normal clothes. And it's like, what's your right? Oh, just like a BMW 7 Series. And you know, because you know, think about it this way: if you're real rich, you don't want people to know you're rich. People gonna jack you, right? Good morning. So yeah, I just think, you know, obviously, like, you pull up in a Range or a Lambo or Ferrari or some stupid car, it's like, you finna get mugged. It's like, the heuristic is like, can you take your car, drive it to the middle of Compton, park it in the parking lot, and not get jacked? Maybe the best car to have is just like some beat up like Toyota Corolla, just pop in and out, right? Or actually the best thing is, if you are gonna get the Rolls or expensive car, right? Put on a fake body kit to make it look old and rusty on the outside, make it look like an old RAV4, and then full limo tints, but on the inside, you got the apex of luxury. It's a funny thought.